Look at him, eating whatever he wants, never gaining a pound. While I'm stuck with the boring special and can't lose an ounce.
How's your lunch, man?
Amazing. Yours?
So good.
Oh, I'm so happy for you.
Cool, buddy.
Weight loss isn't fair, but Mochi Health is. The affordable GLP-1 source that can fix your frustration with food.
So, same time next week?
No!
Definitely.
And your friends. Learn more at joinmochi.com. Mochi members have access to licensed physicians and nutritionists. Results may vary.
When I need to impress someone with a gift, I go straight to 1-800-Flowers. There's a reason they've spent 50 years as the floral authority. Every stem is hand-selected by a vetted florist. And with same-day delivery nationwide, 100% satisfaction guaranteed. That's why millions go to 1-800-Flowers to celebrate life's most important moments. Order now for up to 40% off. Don't miss out on this limited-time offer. Act now and save up to 40% at 1-800-Flowers.com/podcast. That's 1-800-Flowers.com/podcast.
Hello, my name's David Seaman, and this is the Three Lions Podcast.
Hello and welcome to the Three Lions Podcast. My name is Russell Osborne and this is an independent England football supporters podcast. I hope I find you well. Hope you enjoyed a good, pleasant Easter. If you were lucky enough to get away, I hope you enjoyed it and Storm Dave didn't interrupt things too much, or perhaps you saw your team in action over this Easter period after the international break. Hope your team got a result. I did actually manage to get away the day following that Japan game, which is why there hasn't been a review episode to speak of. I think now that the moment has gone to properly take a look at them both. But it's fair to say they were both hard work. A draw against the physical South Americans and a first defeat to an Asian side. Thomas Tuchel has now lost 2 games. As I say, a first to an Asian side and a first to an African side. Read into that what you will. I'm sure a fair amount has been learnt, some of which we probably knew already, like where do we stand without Harry Kane? That Harry Maguire still has a lot to give. But I do think it's important that we face these types of teams, as it really is likely we will come up against similar during the World Cup. Be it the ugly side of the game that Uruguay brought us, or the quick on the break type of game that Japan played against us. I'm not trying to read too much into both games just at the moment, but when we only have New Zealand and Costa Rica left before our first game against Croatia in June, then my levels of expectation perhaps aren't as high as I'd like them to be. But in time, I will be taking a look at both New Zealand and Costa Rica. But that's for another day. Now, as I mentioned on the last episode, I'd been working on a few other episodes, talking to some people. And this is one of those. It's one I've had my eye on for some time. It's taken a while to arrange, but they do say the best things come to those that wait. I genuinely hope it's going to be of interest to listeners young and old. Young, to hear what things were like in the early days of the travel club, and old, to those that remember this person and the service she provided. Now, one thing I want to just mention before I play you this recording, I want to say that it was recorded in a pub on the day of the Uruguay game in central London. Now, I thought that it would be quieter than it turned out to be. It was a Wetherspoons pub where, of course, they don't play music. I did try and find a cafe that might suit, but well, a lot of them seem to have sort of background music. With the podcast, I do have to try and be wary of this sort of thing, as at times it can infringe on copyright and you just get strikes and it just infringes. So I've tried my best to reduce a lot of the background pub ambience and chatter. I was debating, do I leave some of the background noise in or do I cut it entirely? And that's what I've decided to do. It has had a slight effect on the overall sound quality, but I hope that it doesn't ruin your listening experience. It's going to come up in a moment for you, but before I press play on that, don't forget you can follow the show on social media. Just search 3 Lions Podcast. Give it a like or a follow or a thumbs up, whatever takes your fancy. You can also give it a rating at your podcast provider of choice, or just share it about with your family and your friends, or just someone you think may also enjoy it. So with no further ado, this is my chat with the wonderful Jill Smith.
The GLP-1 pill you've been waiting for is now on Ro. Yep, it's finally here. With the same clinically proven ingredient. Now in a pill. And now on Ro. It's the first FDA-approved GLP-1 pill for weight loss. At the lowest price available. That's one daily GLP-1 pill for big results. Now on Ro. Go to ro.co/listen to see if you qualify. RX only. Go to ro.co/safety for serious side effects and boxed warning associated with GLP-1s.
I'm delighted to welcome to the podcast Jill Smith, who's might be a familiar name to some listeners out there. Jill, hello there.
Hello there. Nice to meet you and to talk to you.
Yeah, no, likewise. Thank you so much for agreeing to meet. Over the years of doing this podcast, many people have said to me, oh, you should speak to so-and-so, or you should try and speak to this person or that person. And your names often come up. So I'm delighted to finally have a sit down with you, because I think you've got a few stories you might be able to share with us.
Yeah, they go back many years, so you accumulate stories over that length of time. Yeah.
I think I'm right in saying that, would Arsenal be your first love?
Absolutely, totally.
and I think you worked at Arsenal and then sort of progressed to England and the FA, is that right?
No, I never worked at Arsenal. I worked in normal businesses. I didn't really actually want to work in football because I loved football so much. I thought working in it might spoil it. So people used to say in those days, why don't you try and get a job at Arsenal? I said, I don't want to, because they become my employers then, and you always have a bit of a moan about your employers. So I decided I definitely didn't want to go down that path. And I had really good jobs in building societies and places like that. And then the secretary to the FA's secretary, that's what they called him in these days, didn't they? Prior to Ted Croker. She left when Ted Croker came, so she come to work at the property company I was working at. So she knew I'd got this fanatical passion. Because whatever interview I went to for jobs, I always used to say to them, I can only accept it if I can have my holidays, some of it in half days, and you'll accept the fact that I won't be here if Arsenal are playing, home or away. And I think at the time, because I was a woman and young, they didn't take me very seriously. I think they thought it was a fad I'd get over.
Right.
So it never stopped me getting a job. But obviously she knew, because I'd disappear every time Arsenal were playing. And at one stage I had a really nice boss who used to have to work in Australia. And he knew that I got bored easily. And he knew sometimes I sneaked across to watch the Arsenal reserves in the afternoon.
Right.
Because I could work fast and I was always prepared to work into the evening, so they didn't lose anything. No. And he used to make it possible for me. He used to say, if anyone asks you, say you're getting these things for me. And he used to give me a list. So I was incredibly lucky. I had this lovely job. I was well looked after, well paid. And then she came along and worked there for a year and got bored. And she went, and the FA asked her to go back. So she'd been there for many years under Dennis Follows, was the secretary. And Ted Croker said, look, will you come back? So she went back, and then she knew I was restless. So she rang me after about 9 months, I suppose, and said, will you come to be the secretary to the deputy secretary there?
Wow, right.
So I said, well, I'm not really keen. And she didn't come for an interview. And when I went and met this lovely man, he said, I've only got 4 years left. He said, just give me 4 years. So I said, I was still looking sort of, I don't know. And he said, if you don't like it after 3 months, just leave, you know. So that was how I started. So it was totally, everybody thinks it was my mad passion to work in football. It wasn't, because my mad passion has always been watching football. And especially watching the Arsenal, obviously.
Yeah.
And I used to go to England as well all the time. So at that time, I was doing both sort of thing.
Yeah.
But then, and you didn't have as many games with your club as you do now. I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous now. But that's how I started in football.
So when was that? Don't mind me asking.
1978. So it was when football supporting was challenging.
I think it's fair to say that women on the terraces wasn't.
No, very rare. There was not that many of us at all. And contrary to what people believe, I mean, away support, when I started, there was no segregation.
Right.
So you could be standing next to your worst enemies, but it seemed to work somehow most of the time, because you had the two ends where one had come to take the other one's end.
Yeah.
I always stood along the side. I wasn't silly. But, and that's how it was. So yeah, I was from 78. I worked there, and then I think it was, I can't remember where we didn't get into a World Cup or something around that time, I don't think.
Well, there was no England weren't at the 78 World Cup.
That's it. Yeah.
Then there would have been the Euros in 1980. I think it was in Italy. And I think we did go to that one.
Yes. And I know at the time I was outraged when clubs were banned and England wasn't.
Right.
And I couldn't see that was fair. I mean, to me, a club like Arsenal would very rarely had any trouble travelling abroad, whereas England supporters were renowned for causing problems, you know, and a lot of the clubs they come from were renowned for causing problems. So I think that's how it all sort of started up, me forever moaning about the fact that it isn't fair. And it was like the aim was to get the clubs back into Europe.
Yeah.
So that was how it all started. And we had a sort of a vague travel club for that particular, but I wasn't I was involved in the cards and the membership side. Right. But there was no suggestion I'd go anywhere with them. So it wasn't until 1990. Bobby Robson, who I absolutely loved to pieces, he was the nicest person you could ever meet. An amazing supporter. He actually talked to supporters like a supporter, whereas a lot of managers are on a different planet. Yep. You know, they don't, but he understood exactly what being a supporter was. And so I got on famously with him, but he wouldn't have women anywhere near his team. You know, it was still the men and that. So as soon as he retired in 1990, that was when they decided that, it would be a good idea if I actually travelled with them so that I could try and encourage more women and families to come.
Okay, so even back then in 19...
Yeah, because in there, we'd been out, I mean, I'd gone out for the 1990 tournament.
Right.
And I mean, that was an incredible experience because as usual, FIFA stitched England up and sold it. The only tickets they gave us was really expensive. So the FA actually subsidised all those tickets in those days.
Okay.
And so that England supporters could afford to go. And, but even the subsidised price was high, you know. And I mean, leading up to it was a nightmare because we sort of dealt with the tickets and England supporters were never backward in telling you what idiots you were. And you can imagine what they thought of the FA. So that was different. And then when we got out to Italy, we was in Sardinia first.
That's right.
And that was quite a funny experience because we were based in a shop in the town. And,
is this the FA?
The FA. So I was there with the woman I worked for and somebody else. So there was three of us out there and we were doing tickets for people who'd got collect them and one thing and another.
Right.
but it was so bad out there. The England supporters were being attacked all the time out in the streets, nothing to do with football. So all I got was a succession of people coming in, crying, lost everything, passports gone. It was very unpleasant.
Yeah.
Not that they were unpleasant, but sad.
Just the situation.
The situation. And that was sort of the start of Euro 90 to us. Not Euro. Was it Euro? No, it was World Cup, wasn't it? 19.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was World Cup in 90. And then we moved on. And there was still this big ticketing problem because you had to move across and take the club that had got, or the country that had got knocked out's ticket supply. It was really weird.
Okay.
I can't remember where we were in that for that particular game, but all the England supporters were sitting in a field, great big field, and the Italians have given us a caravan to work from that didn't have any air conditioning, didn't have a phone, and it was before mobile, so... Yeah. In fairness, they come and fitted that all in. But the next morning when we got there, that was when the England supporters were sitting in the field. There must have been about 200 or 300 of them all just sitting on the floor waiting for us to open. And they decided that as I got this rapport with supporters, I could be the one that would walk amongst them, warning them that we got no cheap tickets. So... You can imagine that. But it was really, to this day I laugh because it was really uncanny. It was like, the walking out as something really important. They all stood up. So they'd all been sent down and then I was faced with this field of people standing or looking, so. And anyway, we told them, et cetera, et cetera. Then they used to come into to the front of the caravan, give us their voucher, and then we'd give them a ticket. They had to be on the list, obviously. It was all sort of done. And after about, I suppose, an hour, I recognised someone. I thought, I've seen you before. You've been round. And it was strictly one person.
Oh, I see. Trying to get another one.
And so my lovely friends who didn't go football like I did were like, well, how do you know? I said, because I just know. I can see what they're doing there. I said, what we're going to have to do is have to cut a corner off their travel card. I said, because we've got 4 possible games. So if we cut a certain corner off for each match, they can't bring that back.
Oh, I see.
If they bring it back and he's got a corner off, some of them tried, but what, did you accidentally cut the corner of your card off? So it was always like that. It was always trying to be one step ahead of them. And I think that's really why they get me saying, because I'd gone through it all with the club, We'd been in finals and things, and all the tricks of what they're likely to get up to.
Yeah.
And obviously, I was used to talking to supporters, so it didn't faze me at all. I was quite happy with them. And I found that really, they were very, very upright in those days, the England supporters.
Right.
And they hated the FA with a passion. So that made it certainly different. And then moving around from one place to another, having to do different ticketing from different places. It was boiling hot at the time.
I guess a lot of that would have been like last minute, where do we go, how do we...
Yeah, that's right, because...
Thinking on your feet.
Even to this day, I've got to say, so many times you go to all these meetings, you make all these arrangements, and then the day before, the night before, the mayor of all these places will decide that he didn't want to do it like that. And that happens to this day. You get it with club matches. You'll go to a meeting in the morning, they'll agree everything. You do this, you go there. The supporters can do this, and so you put it out. This is what you can do, etc. And then all of a sudden, a message comes through. The mayor's decided no. I find it incredible. The mayors have got so much power. So that was happening. And the poor England supporters really. It was so sad because half the grounds were half empty.
Yeah.
Because of segregation, you just couldn't sell them to anyone. So everyone had to be vetted before they could go. And then it just left swathes. And when you think now, you can't imagine an England game and the ground's not full.
No, of course, yeah.
So, it's a funny affair, really.
So was there already a membership club of sorts already in play?
There was by then. That's what from that original one where we didn't really do any travel or anything like that, just a ticket. There was a travel agent they could use, but we still didn't do travel as such like a club would.
Right.
But, it was a proper membership scheme then. You had to send in your information. The police would look at it and it didn't tell you if they'd got a history of...
Oh, even back then?
Even back then, yeah. It was all just starting then.
Right.
And of course, the old-fashioned computers, it was all on those great big green sheets with little lines on it.
Oh, the ones with the dots at the side, yeah.
Absolutely massive. And we used to have to carry them everywhere. So they was like
the reams of paper.
Reams and reams. And you'd have to flick through to check they were on the list. So there was no just putting in a name and it popped up.
Yes.
So we had about 5 lots of these, and then you'd put a yellow through it or that once they'd picked their ticket up. But then you'd have to sort of do it on all of them, because if there was 3 of you working, I mean, it was just this big wad of papers. It was unbelievable. But yeah, it was a proper thing. And all the cards used to be laminated on that at the FA. So it was all done. They did the pictures, stuck them on.
Yeah.
It was a bit like a sort of something you do on Blue Peter, really. And I tell you, did people work hard? I mean, it was literally working till 10 and 11 every night in the build-up.
Was it?
And then out there, it was pretty much the same. And the sad thing was, even us, and there was 2 women, like myself and another one, they'd come up to us in Italy if we was walking in the street and go, hooligan, that's all we got.
Oh, really?
Honestly, it sounds daft now, but the reputation England supporters had was so bad.
Yeah.
And because it didn't help, there was 1 or 2 problems out there.
Yeah. I mean, was there a situation where, I don't know who the government official was, or there was someone that, didn't a lot of England fans get deported for no reason whatsoever?
Yeah, I think they did. They got rounded up. No, I wasn't. I knew.
Not involved as in...
No. But no, I mean, we didn't know much about it. It was only when they started coming and telling us that they were rounding them up. I mean, the Italian riot police is something else entirely.
Yeah.
They're not, they don't have to account to anybody.
Some would say that's still the same.
It's the same, yeah, it is. I mean, I know, for them and the French and that, it's boring.
Yeah.
It really is. They're just the lords themselves. So so they'd all have this little card laminated. I should have brought one with me. I've probably got my own one somewhere.
Are you still a member these days?
No, because I knew I wasn't going to travel anymore.
Right.
Club football has just got so out of hand. I just physically can't do it all. There's not enough days in the week.
But you still follow England from...
Yeah, well, I mean, I watch them on the television.
Yeah.
So I see them, but I don't travel now. I don't go to Wembley anymore.
Oh.
I decided something had to give.
Yeah.
It had to be England because I wasn't giving up Arsenal.
Fair enough. Especially on a season like this at the moment.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
But the supporters club, obviously members of it now will have their frustrations with it, and
yeah,
it's interesting to see what it came from and what it is now. But
and the loyalty points. I mean, for Wembley particularly, I argued right from the start it should be 2 points for a friendly, because they were friendlies in those days, a lot of friendlies, and 1 point for a big match, because I said everybody wants to come and see England play Brazil.
Yeah,
the real hardcore come and see England play Cameroon. And I mean, bearing in mind, Wembley gates were down to like 30,000 if we were lucky.
Yeah, it was Graham Taylor's time, I think, was that? Early 90s?
Yeah, it might have been a bit before that. No, it was before that. Before they went down, yeah. I think even right back to the sort of 89.
Right.
I think before the night we had an England game, I can't remember which one it was. And that game, I don't think was very highly attended, whoever we played. So it went back quite a long way.
Oh, I see.
I don't know why. Somehow they seem to have forgotten that England ever used to struggle to fill Wembley. I mean, it was only really when Euro 96 came that it became a thing that people went to. I mean, I always blame Hornsby on was it Hornsby who did that book on Arsenal?
Oh, Nick Hornby, yeah.
Hornby,
yeah.
Because all of a sudden we got a totally different type of people coming, like families and that.
Right.
And then they were saying, like, can I bring my 5-year-old to go to a game in Italy for just an ordinary game or a World Cup qualifier or what have you? And they used to be saying to me, it's not like it looks in Euro 90, Euro something for children. I mean, I'm not sure you'd quite see it the same because it was all happy, clappy, singing, wasn't it? And it was totally different. And then a couple of years, I mean, England played in Italy when we drew 0-0 to get through to the
98 World Cup.
That's it.
Yes, yeah.
And I mean, that was horrendous. That was another occasion when, I mean, the supporters weren't to blame out there. They used to get trouble when they weren't even looking for it. I mean, some of the time they were horrendous. I mean, I'll never
Not all white and white.
No, I'll never support them when they're being stupid.
Yeah.
But I fight to the death for people who I think that are being badly treated, And, again, the Italians had sold hospitality tickets to one side of the stadium to anybody. So a lot of English hospitality people had bought big numbers of them.
Right.
And, unbeknownst to us, because we'd asked that no ticket should ever be sold to an England supporter other than through ourselves.
Yeah.
Because then it would be fair. It'd be on the loyalty. They'd be vetted. So, and, again, on the day of the match, the mayor found out about these tickets and decided that none of them could use them, that they must be put in with the England supporters. Well, the England section was sold out. So it was chaos I've never seen. I had a girl with me, such a 20-odd, who'd never been to the game before, so she was with me working. And because she was getting more and more nervous, and I actually said to her, I said, if I hear a certain noise, I'm going to drag you behind that tree. I said, because if they run, I've worked out years before, as long as you stand behind something, they split up to go round it.
Clever.
So they wouldn't actually attack a woman, but you just get knocked over in the rush. So that's how bad it used to be. And, all of a sudden, I could hear it coming, and I grabbed her and sort of dragged her over a fence behind this little tiny fence behind this tree. Well, in the end, she was shaking so much. I said to her, they won't touch us. They'll run past us, And I mean, they were going nuts. And it turned out that they were ticket holders who had now been told they couldn't go in because the people from the hospitality had been allowed in. Well, it wasn't just hospitality, it was like travel tickets companies had got hold of. So there was all these people that had got genuine tickets not being allowed in.
Really?
Well, I can understand why they weren't happy.
Frustration.
But then, of course, the police went nuts, they were banning them, and I had to get one of my, obviously I had a lot of friends who were Arsenal supporters who went to all the games, so I always knew they'd keep an eye on me.
Yeah.
And I got one of them to take her in. I said, look, get her into the VIP, but just because it's so unfair. I mean, when you're not used to that, she'd worked Euro 96 and that, but I mean, as I say, it was very happy family.
Yeah. I mean, I did hear that, was it Spain, Hawaii? Was it in Santander? That you came under a little bit of,
That was awful. I mean, again, I went to the meeting in the morning. You'd have a big meeting. The fire brigade were there. The police were there. The safety people, really everything. You go through it all. We were in a certain section. They'd take me to see it. It's all okay. I said I could stand outside, which I did. And then if there were any last minute problems with tickets or that, or if I had a last few minutes. So I just used to stand outside turnstiles. I mean, I didn't have anywhere so fancy. And it was lovely. It was a nice atmosphere. He explained he was the gold commander. So the gold commander in any country is the main man.
Okay.
So he said, I'll be there if you need me. Fine. So I'm there really obviously out early, before the gates open and the turnstiles up and they let them through. So I'm standing quite a bit in front of them so I can be seen.
Yeah.
Probably had a placard or something. And all of a sudden they come up and like, why is the effing gate shut? I said, what do you mean? And we can't get in. I said, yeah, but you can. I turned round. These so-and-sos had been working 5 minutes before it all shut.
Shut down.
Upstairs. And I was like, I said, I've got no idea. I thought, I have to try and find out. I said, they were open 5 minutes ago. And then all of a sudden, these van after van pulled out. And it was Riot Police. And they opened a side entrance and they went storming in. Yeah, I doubt if there was a couple of hundred already in there. They went storming in, the gate shut, and then once that happened, the turnstiles opened again. So it sort of settled down. So just before the game was going to start, I'd got nothing else to be collected. So I went through the turnstiles and went and joined them, you know.
Yeah.
And they were all in seats. It was all calm, and I thought, oh, well, this is wonderful. And then all of a sudden, we had a lad, I always remember, he's from Bristol.
Right.
And he wasn't the brightest one, to put it nicely. And he got up to talk to one of his friends who was about 6 rows in front. And they were shouting at him to sit down. And there's nothing going on, no going anything. And him being like not really taking a lot of notice. So they tried to drag him out. Yeah, he had done nothing. All he was trying to do was talk to a friend.
Yeah.
So as they came down, a girl was sitting on the end of a row with her arm on her seat, and they hit her with a bat. So that was it then. I mean, I can't.
Yeah.
So I was storming about, like, screaming, what on earth's going on? And I was on the phone, get the commander here.
Yeah.
This is outrageous. And with that, I see one of my friends being dragged out. And as they're dragging him out, and there was a big long staircase. So I'm chasing after her, and they're hitting him with a truncheon.
Oh.
And I actually ended up with all his blood all over my blazer. And they pushed him out.
Right.
So by now I go storming back up to see if his commander's arrived, and he had. And he said, I have no control now. He said, these are the Riot Police. I'm not in charge of them. This was in his ground, and he was the gold commander. Now, if you try and say that to people, they think I'm making it up. But, I mean, it was carnage. And our security officer was quite tall and quite posh.
Right.
And he meant well. But they came up to me, a lot of the supporters, and they said, if you don't get him out of here, they said, we're going to do him. So I went up to him and said, look, I'm really sorry, but you'll have to go. He said, I can't leave you in here. I said, no, I'm fine. I said, it's you that don't want in here. I said, so look, do me a favour. I said, it's going to make my life easier if you actually go. And he was like muttering and moaning. And off he went. He went down the bottom stairs. And it sort of started to calm down a bit. But then there was a surge. And I lost my footing. It didn't hurt.
Right.
But in the because I was off on the stair,
yeah,
I sort of went down a bit and I was fine. It wasn't hurt at all. And that was it. It quietened down a bit. But because I didn't realise they were watching it on the CCTV thing.
Okay.
And then as soon as, I think they kept us in 2.5 hours after the game. Oh. Something like it. Yeah, I think it was 2.5 hours, and one of the FA's cameramen was in a thing in our end. So they wouldn't even let him out. So the team flight couldn't take off.
Okay.
It was just chaos, absolute chaos. And there'd been nothing. There'd been no proper hooliganism or fighting. It had all gone, it was just ridiculous. I mean, you despair because they then blame the FA. I mean, in this match in Italy, when I was outside, as I finally, about 10 minutes after kickoff, I went to make my way, and people were still milling about. And this woman come up to me, and she had blood on her face, and she actually swore at me. She said, you're effing not doing this, and you're not doing that. And what are you supposed to be doing? I said, I was, and I never swear. I lightly swear, but I never say anything like that. I said, I wouldn't be out here. I said, I've been there sitting in a VIP seat. I said, it's only because I'm trying to help. And I was fuming, and I thought I shouldn't have really done that, but I'd just lost it by then, you can imagine. And the outcome of that story is we used to have regular meetings about every 2 months around the country. And I went to one, and who did I see as soon as I walked in? This woman.
Oh, really?
Well, anyway, we made up and you was friends. But I mean, that was how bad it was. And in Santander, going back to that, it was so unfair because the English newspapers had it all as like it was us. And it was a nightmare because it wasn't. That was the one game I could honestly say nobody did anything to antagonise anybody, you know. We weren't anywhere near there. You couldn't get near there, supporters. We was a bit on our own.
It's the police.
So it's just the
authorities.
Police. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, sadly, it's something that even, I think it was it Aston Villa, I think, in France recently?
It's just the same.
It still happens where we are now.
When we played PSG this season, we were kept in for probably an hour and a half. And I hang back because I don't, funny enough, for all the donkey's years I've been doing it, I don't like being in a crush. No. I don't mind being on the edge of it or, you know, I didn't mind when I was working and I'd get in the middle of a certain, but I'd always have an eye to how I could get out.
An exit.
Because when I was young, I'd seen that tragedy at Rangers where it was Celtic.
Oh, yes. In the
pictures of them coming down the stairs and crushed. And up until then, it had never occurred to me you could die from being crushed. I know it's silly, but it didn't. And from then on, I was always wary.
Yeah.
So, you know, so we was held in. I was standing outside the first aid room. And all of a sudden the door opened and they said, "Do you have to come in and sit down?" Because they still don't look at me and think I'm well, you know, they all think. I said, "Oh yeah, that'd be nice." So, and I said, "My friend's got a bad leg," which he did have. So he came in, and then another friend. And they was explaining to us that all the trouble that was going on had been going on all through the match. They said it doesn't stop when the match starts. It's the locals all come out at PSG. They all come out to attack the police. So the fighting is the police versus them. Our supporters were still inside the riot. And because it's so unpleasant because the police are so wound up, then they hit anything that moves. Go to Naples, they insist you go on coaches.
Yeah.
And the coaches never get to the ground for kickoff.
Well, that's right. England had a game out in Naples 2 years ago, I think it was. And yeah, I was on one of the coaches that takes this large diversion right around the edge of a city. And even then there was trouble with the police and the authorities with later England fans who were coming in on the later coaches. There's no fault of their own.
No. You know, I mean, it was like with us, they can hear the Champions League thing just going off. And I mean, the coach is still down. And when you're standing outside, Naples, like this was for Arsenal, when you're standing outside, I was standing outside waiting for them. I can see the coach going round in circles because there's a convoy, isn't there?
Yes.
You can actually see the coaches going round and, like, you see, oh, they're nearly here. And then they disappear again, and then you'll see them again sort of going round. It's outrageous. Yeah. I mean, it's so unfair they paid all that money.
Yeah.
I mean, so now when we go to Naples, I get a taxi. I wouldn't dream of getting in the damn things. I mean, it's easy when you're a woman because you can get away with more.
Yeah.
You definitely can. I mean, that's why it was easy for me with England, because if a man's telling a man something, ego comes into it.
Right, yeah.
You know, so there's more chance of it getting aggressive, whereas it's a woman.
More diplomatic.
It's a different sort of atmosphere.
Yeah.
You know, I'll take the mick out of them. I'd normally, if they were really screaming at me and effing and blinding in my face, I'd see if they were friends, and then I'd point to a friend and say, "Do you put up with this all the time? Is he like this? It must be a pain to travel with." And then they normally calm down, or otherwise I say to them, because I can imagine their frustration. They want a match ticket and something's happened and they've already decided, because I'm authority, I'm going to say no. So before they'd ever get to me, they'd be worked up. So the first words to me was, "You effing something so-and-so." And I'd like, if you're going to swear at me, I'm not even going to try now.
Yeah.
To me, you know. And then they'd sort of think about it, and then they'd gradually calm me down. And then they'd might have another go, and I thought, no, you might as well walk away. I'm not even going to listen to you. But there is a chance if you tell me what the problem is, I can help you. And 9 out of 10 times I could. You know, I mean, it's just so frustrating.
I imagine that being with the FA, you must have had conversations with UEFA and FIFA in an official capacity.
Yeah, that's right, at meetings and explain to them. Then you'd always get these assurances. And then the worst bit of the lot was these meetings I'd chair around the place. The first thing they'd say is the FA don't do anything. The FA don't care. But they do care, you know. Honestly, if you could be in these meetings, you should have meetings. That's a favourite one. Like, we just pick a game and, like, you know, go along and just hope it's all going to be right.
Yeah.
That's one of the biggest ones you'd get. Don't you have meetings beforehand? Like, yeah, well, fun enough, we do, actually. You know, 2 or 3 leading up to it.
So did you used to do, for an away game coming up, did you used to do a pre-reckon?
Yeah.
You go out
I'd already go out.
Yeah.
Sort it out, have a meeting with them. We'd go back, you know, different parts of the club would go, sort of with the travel, or with the safety, or with something else, you know, the team. There'd be various ones, and you'd have a pre-meeting. The English police used to come with us. So, yeah, you'd have a pre-meeting. That's when it'd all be agreed. Then you'd have a meeting at the ground on the morning of the match. Then you'd go through it all again, and that'd all be agreed. And there was all the UEFA officials there, and the referees used to be there to check colours, to see there was no clashes. And I mean, it was massive. Yeah, as I say, the fire brigade, the ambulance service, they all had to be represented. It wasn't, you know, it wasn't some small meeting of a dozen people. And then, as you say, a couple of hours later, it's all changed. I mean, it's just. And when I hear now, I can feel for other supporters, for other clubs, because you know exactly what they're going through. Especially the ones that have not been in Europe very often. Yeah. Because they sort of still think of it's going to be a bit more civilised now, I think. And then when the police carry on, I mean, and they're always clever at covering up their numbers and that, those riot police. It's very difficult to pinpoint one of them. And I think, to be honest, they're bored. I think they look forward to a football match where they can have
I think you're probably right, yeah.
You know, they're macho blokes. They're standing there with all their gear on. They look like something out of a robot thing, don't they? And I think they're itching for trouble. You know, they're almost disappointed if you walk out because nothing goes wrong.
Yeah, so, I think you're right.
I think you'll get the idea. There's been so many occasions.
But looking at, say, the travel club as we know it now, obviously it's all very digital. I mean, for a lot of clubs, domestic or international, national ones, it's all apps and everything's done online and on computers, to the point that you can't even ring them up these days. It all has to be done.
Yeah, I know. It's unbelievable. I find that.
Back when you would have been doing it, it was all in the post and a telephone line. Or was it tickets you'd buy by a cheque or a postal order?
That's right.
You had to have a proof of travel.
Because for a World Cup or the Euros, they used to have to buy their ticket. I mean, you probably remember, you probably did it yourself to some stage. You'd have to buy the various rounds of tickets, and then the money would be taken.
Yeah.
So what we used to do, I mean, but this is how basic it was. We'd have our little own coupon printed.
Yeah.
So you'd have it for the 3 matches. No, you could get the tickets for 3 matches. It was if you got through to the next round.
So a bulk
you'd have an 8th one, a quarter final, and a semi.
Yeah.
The 3 was all done beforehand.
Yes.
But obviously you couldn't do the others.
Because you didn't know how
because you didn't have start. So it would be, rather than just write it somewhere, which I always thought would be a disaster, we used to have these little things printed with in different colours. So when someone was processing the application, which was all handwritten by the people, you know, they'd had a form, they'd handwritten it.
Yeah.
And then they'd process the cheque for the first 3 games, or the credit card for the first 3 games. And then I think we used to charge them and then refund them. I think that, I can't quite remember the financial side. So that you'd have in the sheet of paper, you'd have all their details on it, their travel club membership and everything. Then you'd have the 4 different coloured vouchers. That was it. Some had paid for some and not the others. You know, some want a final ticket but not anything else.
Yes.
So once they'd read what they wanted, then that was that particular colour would be stapled to that. So when we got through to that round, so the quarterfinals, say, you'd have, I mean, you can imagine how high the poles got because stapled with these attachments. But like that, I said, we know for sure, because your worst nightmare is being in a little hut somewhere and you've got 100 England supporters in front of you, or even more than that, and you've run out of tickets where you've mucked the vouchers up.
Oh, I see, yeah.
So by getting the vouchers as a physical thing, then you'd have people all around the table. It was so manual. You'd have people sitting all around the boardroom in the FA, which was huge, 17 room, and they'd all be sitting there with these piles, and the piles of tickets in front, and putting them off and attaching it, and then you'd have to go back because you'd got to then be for if we got through to the next round.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just, when I think back now, they've got it made, you know. I mean, just sitting there and it's all on a computer.
Oh, it's no wonder that you were there till 10 o'clock at night.
Yeah, often in the night, into the night.
And that would have been, sent back to the supporter?
It was...
Or they would pick them up?
No, they'd have to pick them up.
If that was a tournament?
Yeah, if it was a tournament, that was when we'd have these hats that people would put us in, you know. And even for the ordinary little games, I would have a certain amount of collections to be done. And I'd go along, because I couldn't always be at the stadium.
Yeah.
So they'd find me the nearest place. And we played in, I don't think it was Ukraine at the time, one of the funny games, you know, the pre-East block.
A newer country.
And there'd been it must have been somewhere in Yugoslavia, somewhere like that. There'd been a war.
Okay.
And they took me to, no one at the FA ever knew where I was. I was literally worked on my own. They'd put me in a car and like complete the country with me.
Yeah.
Take me off. And I try and remember the country. It was just potholes. There was no driving on one side of the road. Everybody drove around the potholes. And I was sitting in the back like, this could be the end of me. And it was so poor. I mean, all of it was Moldova.
Okay.
The country was so poor.
That would have been Glenn Hoddle's first game, I think.
No, it could have been.
I think Moldova away.
Yeah, it could have been.
And David Beckham's first. Is he captain or something?
I'm
digressing, but
yes. Yeah, that. Yeah, I can't remember.
But Moldova
so
rings
many
about.
games, they all blur into one.
Yeah.
But they took me into this building. And I had to go upstairs, and it actually had part of the stairs missing. I had to climb over a gap. Then they took me into this room, and it was so poor in there. But they'd given me their nicest room, and they gave me a little fire. And I didn't expect it to be cold, so as if I would go to football.
Yeah.
I was nothing dry out. And I didn't know until lunchtime when I went they took me into their little bit. They'd given me the only heater. And I felt so humble. I never felt so humble in all my life. And I'd had to go out and put arrows on the wall. I used to print arrows. They used to do them at office for me. And then I'd go around sticking them on walls, showing them so they could find me.
Yeah, yeah.
Because sometimes it wasn't easy. So again, it was all Blue Peter.
Well, I did hear of another story, and I think it was it Bulgaria away in Sofia, where you were treated to the British Embassy or something, were you?
Absolutely, that's where I met Dole.
Okay.
And that was outrageous. No, I mean, this is how I was treated in Moldova. They actually gave me a gift. And that was it. I gave them the gifts we take.
Oh, yes.
You know, for them, the office. And then in the afternoon, they came in and gave me a gift. And I mean, it was so not what I wanted because I was trying to help them with it. I mean, we had loads of things you could give away, you know. And they were so kind to me. Bulgaria, I'm told by the office I'm working in the embassy. Now, I haven't been to the embassy. So I go to the embassy in the morning. And again, I just get a taxi and get out and go. And I said, oh, it's Jill Smith, you know, I'm from the FA and you've got somewhere where I can give out. And they went, no, don't know nothing about it. I said, well, it's definitely been agreed. It has definitely been arranged. And these snooty people absolutely didn't want anything to do with football anywhere near their building. You can imagine. So reluctantly, they gave me a table, literally a wooden table.
Yeah.
By the fence, so they've got a huge, it was beautiful in there, they've got a huge garden round it. So I'm by the fence, absolutely no cover, and it was about 110 minutes. And I had to hang through a fence.
Oh, they wouldn't let fans in?
No, they didn't let fans in. Oh, I was there from like 10 o'clock, 10:30, I can't remember, until 5, and they never offered me a drink. Nothing.
Really?
And I thought of places I'd been to, like Poland in the old days, you know, all of them. Very curt. It got nothing, but very curt. Poland's nothing like it is now, you know. And I was appalled. I thought it was shocking. I mean, I didn't want that, loads of stuff, but just a glass of water would have been nice. And Dad come up and he saw me and I was giving it out. And he said, would you like a drink? I said, oh, I'd absolutely love one. I said, I'll give you money. He said, no, I'll go. He said, there's a shop. I'll go and get it for you. And he came back and he said, I thought you'd probably not eaten, have you? I said, no. So he got me a sandwich and a drink. And that was how we got together. And how he started. He was so kind.
Well, I think I should say that Doug Bagley was who sort of connected us together. He's a Tottenham and an England fan. So thank you, Doug, for connecting us together.
Oh, he's lovely.
Is he? Yeah.
Really, it's brilliant.
Nice.
He supports in the same way as I do. Total passion, you know.
Yeah.
It's madness. Yeah.
We're all football fans and have our ways of doing it.
Absolutely, yeah, definitely, without a shadow of a doubt. It's, you know, it was people like Doug. I mean, for all the nasty ones, there were so many nice ones, you know. And I'd like to think that by the time I left, we had got a lot more families going to matches.
So how long were you with the FA for? When did you decide, like, not anymore?
No, I was there from 78 to 2001.
Right.
And no, I didn't decide. They decided.
Oh, really?
They suddenly decided that was going to make me redundant. I totally out of the blue. I mean, they'd been making a lot of people redundant that Christmas. And I was out I think we were playing in Athens. And I suddenly realised that Adam Crozier seemed to be avoiding me. He seemed to be looking the other way. And I thought something's going on. I knew something was going on. And about 6 weeks before, I had a laugh with him because he'd had us all in a room and said all the redundancies are finished. And when I saw him a week or so later, I laughed with him. I said, I thought being an Arsenal supporter, because it was rumoured he was Tottenham. I said, and being over 50, because it was also, he didn't like people over 50. I said, I thought I'd be one of the first to go. And he actually said to me, it never occurred to us to make you redundant. And then within 2 months, just told me I was being made redundant.
Really?
Yeah, it was really weird. Well, I mean, it worked out all right. But at the time, I was gutted because, I mean, you know, having worked so hard to get to England to where they were and the thing to where they were.
Well, you mentioned Greece and Athens there. That was my first England away game.
Oh, was it?
It was. And I do remember, or just sort of remember all little parts of like your first one, whereas as games go on, they sort of, as you say, blur into things.
Yeah.
And I do remember there was FA staff and you were more than likely there just on the outside of the gates. And I think you must have been giving tickets there.
Yeah.
And I do remember that. But what you say that because the following year was the World Cup in Japan and Korea.
Yes.
Which you think a country like that England or general public probably haven't been to a country like that.
Yeah.
But they'd need someone of your skills to be prepared for an influx of England fans.
Yeah, it was, I mean, obviously they replaced me and I mean, it worked because someone did it, but they certainly wouldn't have never found anyone that had the experience I had for so many years of being with football supporters.
Yeah.
They might cover everything else I did, but they certainly was going to struggle with that one to have the same rapport because football supporters have just got a way of knowing you can't kid a football supporter that you're, you know, I get that with people.
Yeah.
Because they seem to think the only conversation I should possibly have is about football. They'll talk to me about football as if they know what they're talking about. And it actually drives me nuts because I'd sooner talk about anything, politics, anything, than talk to another person who don't really know anything about football but talks to me about it.
Right,
you know.
yeah.
I mean, anyone that I know that loves football, as you can see, I love talking to them. I love their experiences and everything. But it is frustrating, you know, so yeah, it was really odd. But I mean, that's when I went to Arsenal and I took over. And that was quite nice, really. I didn't want to go. I absolutely didn't want to go because I thought working on the club's going to be even worse. But I had sort of been able to compartmentalise myself at the FA.
Right.
I'd been able to be me that dealt with all the protocol and the royalty side, me that did all the minutes of all the big meetings, really big meetings, the hush ones. And I'd remember what I could not say to Arsenal and all the things I know about Arsenal that I mustn't say to the FA.
Oh, I see, yeah.
You know what I mean? It was one of them. I was totally compartmentalised. If I was with the FA, anything I saw or heard was just in one part of the brain.
Yep.
If I was with the Arsenal, and obviously knowing a lot of people there, I'd know quite a lot, then that would be another part of me. So I made sure they never crossed.
Yeah.
And in the end, I thought, again, I'll go for the interview. And but it interested me because it was setting up the supporters clubs, actually setting up. So I was the first supporters liaison officer at any club.
Oh, okay.
A lot of clubs had supporters liaison officers that were part box office, part something else. They might have a title, but it wasn't their main job, whereas mine was my main job.
I see.
And it was two things, really. It was to build up the supporters because there was a lot of concern, obviously, moving from the stadium at Highbury to the Emirates. Where did we find the extra 20,000 people from? So at that time, there was a concern that, so they wanted to build up supporter clubs. So I had a free rein, really. I could literally start from scratch. So that again, and I was dealing with supporters all the time, but this time, a lot of them from all over the world. So I've been lucky. So for someone who never wanted to work in football, I ended up working 32 years until I retired. And I'm still doing the coaches for Arsenal, still escort on the
That's okay. Well, I've got a lot of time for a lot of people who do coaches because it's not just at Arsenal, it's every club.
It's everywhere.
England as well, I know. Lots of England supporters, the time and effort that takes to organise coaches is...
I used to argue that at work, you know, when they don't say, this supporter club needs to be doing this or that. I'm like, hang on a minute. They're not paid. They're doing that for love.
Yes.
You know, I mean, you want a deadline, they've got a job to do. You're being paid to do your bit here. I mean, they're not in that situation. It's really exasperating to me, you know, because one thing is magnificent. All these people, all those little clubs, you know. Yeah. I mean, I think I was the only Arsenal supporter that was absolutely delighted when Mansfield scored because it was such a huge moment for them. I might not have been so much if we'd lost. But in fairness, I just love to see football and I love to see anyone that loves football.
Yeah.
Don't matter whether it's non-league or whatever, you know. I mean, we always go to those, God knows what it's called now. It's been padded now, that competition for under 21 game. We play our under 21 team and they have to play, and you play away 3 matches. And we've been to some weird and wonderful places for that. And it's wonderful. These people give up their time, you know, give up their volunteers, you know. Football's lovely, really, from that point of view. I think it's brilliant.
Yeah.
I think supporters are taken for granted a bit sometimes, but all you can do is try and fight the battle for them, can't you?
Well, I think it's fair to say you've tried your hardest and you've had some wins over the years, haven't you?
So I think my only real annoyance, well, obviously I didn't want to lose my job, but my real annoyance was the times I put myself on the line for the FA physically when nobody was ever around. I mean, at one stage outside of match in Poland, I did have a difficult situation. People were getting really unpaid. I can't remember what had happened, but they was like, I'd got a big crowd around me getting nasty. So I rang on mobile and said that I could do with someone to come round. And they said, no, we've got to look after the under 21s.
Got the team.
The team. I said, There's all the local police are looking after them, Oh, no, nothing happened. They never come round. I mean, it's sort
Yes.
that was what it was like, really. And then that was the side that annoyed me. And also out in Sweden, when we played the Euros in Sweden.
Oh, yes, in 92.
We moved from Malmo. I know when we moved from Malmo, there was a lot of trouble on the last night.
Right.
A lot of hooliganism. And so when we got to Stockholm, wherever we went to, the England supporters were in tents. It was so expensive, Sweden, and the travel. The travel company that we dealt with had agreed that they would arrange camping. And it was all set up by a beautiful lake, where they were going to be. And there was, I think, 500 of them were going to be in this place. It was lovely. I'd seen it. Someone had gone out and inspected it. I'd seen all the pictures, And we was walking. She actually had a couple of hours to herself, which was very unusual. And we went there something to eat, it was in Stockholm. And we was walking back and I thought, oh, this is pleasant. It was only 11 o'clock, 11:30. I thought, decent early night. Yeah. And then my boss's phone rang and I could hear her saying, oh dear, right, we'll do something. And she looked at me and she said, they're rioting in the campsite. I said, why? She said, it's not where it should be. The mayor.
Well, mayors again.
I decided after the trouble in Malmo, he wouldn't have them where they were supposed to be going.
Right.
The people that own the place. So they'd moved her. Unbeknownst to us. So she said, you'd be the best one to go and talk to him because you know how to talk to him. She rang again our security and they said, oh no, it's impossible to get out now. Now it's bottom line, this is now midnight.
Yeah.
So me and the travel company, Jack, went in a car right in the middle of nowhere to a forest and get out of the car and there's hundreds of them milling around. And in the corner I can see one of these they put them in massive tents. That would hold like 30, 40 people.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Not just a two-man tent or something?
No.
Right.
Like it in Malmo.
Yeah.
No. And not only had they done that, it was on sand and it was windy. And they were covered in red. Everything was covered in red. It was bizarre. And out the corner of my eye, I could see one of these tents on fire.
No!
Honestly, they're set fire to it. And so I'm not thinking like that. You can imagine me doing something. It was incredible from all these people. And the chap comes running up, who's the forestry man, and he's screeching away. Look what they're doing. Don't they realise they could kill all of us? This is a forest. A forest. I can see it's a forest, but I can see what he meant. And I thought, my cousin was actually helping us, one of the Espel on this, and a couple of my friends. And I'm looking in the corner and I thought, I can just about see him trying to fight this fight. And I'm trying to think what I'm going to explain to his mum. Anyway, with that, so I said, it's no good you're shouting. I mean, mate, 15 of you or 20 of you come into there was an office thing. I said, we'll talk to you. We can't talk to this many people. I'm standing on a thing.
Yeah.
We're standing on this table thing trying to shout. And that's what we did. They come into, and I so felt for it. I mean, it was disgusting. It's absolutely disgusting. They come in all caked in this red stuff, And the travel agent, he agreed he'd get coaches in the morning who'd shuttle them straight into the town and one thing and another. And they were going to do something with the floor. But they were the sort of situations totally out the blue. And again, all the arrangements have been made and overnight they're gone.
Yeah.
So, well, I was thinking of this when he was explaining to me that I was being made redundant. And I thought, never saw you standing in with all them many people shouting abuse at them. I find it hilarious now when people are so soft and someone says slightly something to them that upsets them. I thought, my God, I don't think there's anything I've not been called. I would really push my mind to try and do something. Sticks and stones. So I think that's about sort of gets you up to date with my...
Yeah.
all in the mud all over the place.
Yeah, that's fine. Let's just round it up a little bit. I've taken up more than enough of your time, but just before we go, you said about Bobby Robson and being the lovely man he was.
Oh, yeah.
And now we've got a German manager.
Yep.
I don't know what your thoughts are on that, but we've got the World Cup coming up. What are your thoughts on England and the World Cup?
As always, I'm vaguely optimistic.
Aren't we all?
I just keep thinking this must be our turn.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I was lucky enough to be in Trafalgar Square celebrating the 66 one.
Were you? Oh, wow.
I remember and it was nothing like as big as it is now.
No.
I mean, you know, so yeah, I can remember that. I'm looking forward to watching the matches, but I think there's going to be loads of matches that are just going to be sheer rubbish.
Yeah.
I totally don't agree with making it so big.
No,
I think it loses all purpose, you know. And we've been pre-season in America a lot recently.
Right.
And the logistics. I mean, it was bad enough. We did, like New York. Then we went across to Denver. Then we went down to LA. Then we shot back to Washington. Well, the amount of traveling involved in that. And then if you haven't got a car in America, it's a nightmare. If they think it's hard getting in and out of our matches, you know, we moan when we go to Tottenham how hard it is to get away. Well, it's nothing compared to there. So I just I worry about the England supporters. I can't see enough of them being able to get together anywhere. You know, it's not like being in Europe where the towns are pretty small and everything sprawls in America. You know, I mean, you can't walk anywhere. I mean, it's just impossible. Whereas we just think of walking as normal.
Yeah.
It's not only can't you? Well, there's no pavements. I mean, you can't walk.
Right, yeah.
So I just, I don't know. I just find the sort of it being in three different places. I can't understand why England have never got it again. I mean, we've got all the grounds, all the setup, everything's within a decent travelling distance, you know. I mean, there's airports everywhere. I just don't understand.
Ready to go, isn't it?
Absolutely. Yeah, it really is. I mean, it's totally wrong. The way that voting's done is shocking. Yeah. I mean, the money you waste on trying to get a World Cup is scandalous. I mean, that money may as well go to doing something worthwhile in football. No, I just don't agree with it at all. And so I don't know. Half of me, I mean, I think some of the games are a bit exciting, but I mean, half of them I just can't see the point of. You know? To be honest. I mean, do you think a lot will go? What's the take-up? Do you know?
I think there'll be a fair amount that go, but I think it is just a cost. And
yeah.
That's one of my reasonings for not being able to go. It's just the sheer cost. I know we could go for a game and come back, but it's
not the same, is it?
And I know what you mean about being in a spread out area. We're used to going to thinking to England's last game in Albania, which was just everyone was in and around the main square.
Which is brilliant. Yeah. That's what football's all about, isn't it?
But with America, I think it's just going to be large and spread out, and that atmosphere of a major tournament, I think it's just going to be missing. I may be wrong.
I'm hoping that... Yeah. I mean, I went out there in 93 with England. We had the friendlies out, which was a disaster. But the Americans then had absolutely no idea about football whatsoever. I mean, they'd never heard of segregation. They couldn't understand why we were worried about it. You know, I mean, it was... And from the pre-seasons, they've got a totally different concept of sport. Although I do think there's such a huge following in America now for the Premier League.
Yes.
I actually wonder if some of those are supporting, as long as they're not playing America, obviously, but support England, if one of their players is playing in the English team, you know, I can see them.
Yeah, there is a bit of that now, isn't there? People follow a player rather than a
in
team.
Asia, that's a nightmare.
Yeah.
I mean, that's unbelievable. that hit home to me, not this season, the season before when we beat Tottenham. I suddenly looked up and thought, there's such a huge number that have stayed behind. Now, bearing in mind, normally if you lose to your rival, you're out the ground.
Yes.
Like
Yeah.
I suddenly realised it was the Koreans. And I thought there was hundreds of them. And they're all laughing, taking pictures. And I'm like, lost.
Yeah.
And we went out and walked past their shop. And they actually, I don't know if you went there, they had a whole area just for the Koreans.
So they really...
All their language up had, all their store, all that side of the shop was for him.
Really?
It was incredible. And they're also outside taking selfies. We never saw an ordinary Tottenham.
Right.
They'd all disappeared in the pubs and shut the doors, you know. But I thought then, you know, they and they're gone. How weird. How can you just follow a player?
Yeah. How times have changed. I'm going to digress a little bit with, when you say Asia, England played in China just before Euro 96. Do you remember that?
Yes.
Where there was supposedly some trouble, I heard.
I actually didn't go to them.
Oh, did you not?
Because of the fact that we were doing it at our place.
Oh, you were doing
We were doing all the work on there. I mean, they wouldn't. I was disappointed. I'd like to have. I hadn't been to China at the time, and I'd have really liked to have gone. Yeah. Did they play in Hong Kong as well?
I think that was, wasn't that where the
chair, wasn't it?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Jill, thank you very much.
You're welcome. I probably waffled.
Oh, right.
People have moaned at me for waffling.
Right, so I think people are going to reminisce and remember the good times.
Yeah.
No, so I really appreciate your time and thank you for sharing some of those stories.
Oh, it's very enjoyable. And we just both now hope England finally do it.
Perhaps you'll be back in that in the fountain in Trafalgar Square in the summer.
Not sure I could climb into it now, but I'll give it a go.
Well, thank you very much.
No, I appreciate it. Thank you. Wish you all the best.
Wow. What an insight. Enjoyed that. Jill is a lovely lady. It was a pleasure to sit down and chat with her. And once again, I'd really like to thank her for her time. So many great stories. I think it's safe to say the supporters club we now have is very different, but I think perhaps it wouldn't be what it is if it wasn't for Jill all those years ago. Thanks as always for listening. I will be back with you very soon with some more England-related content, and I hope you can join me for it. So until then, take care of yourselves. Cheers.